Hello everyone, Emperor Techno here. As most of you are aware, it is now August of 2020. This means that another summer will soon come to a close, the season of fall will start again, and for some of my younger viewers, the start of school. Unfortunately, this summer was rather uneventful thanks to the whole COVID-19 pandemic. But hopefully these spooky greentexts can put you in a brighter mood. In one story, a group of friends sneak out of a field trip and encounter something unexplainable. In another, two friends go to a playground and have a frightening encounter. And finally, an average school student is revealed to have a sinister secret. So sit back, relax, and enjoy these spooky greentexts before your first day of school. Story 1, Sadako. Beanie in middle school, on a class camping trip in some foresty area. The closest form of civilization to this place is a small rural town that ends just around where the forest area begins. Friends and I wake up early one at around 3 a.m. and make hot cocoa for an early morning snack. One problem though, no bread.jpg. Two friends and I decide to visit a small town and see if there's a bakery open. I know what you're thinking. What were you thinking looking for a bakery that's open at that early in the morning, especially in a small town? The answer is, we weren't thinking. Maybe we just wanted an excuse to sneak out of camp. So that's what we did, snuck out of camp. Even on a moonlit night, the dirt road to town is still dark, so we bring a flashlight with us. Begin playing around with the flashlight, shining its beam on the trees and stuff, trying to scare each other. To keep things interesting, we play Spot Sadako. The Ring was a pretty popular movie at the time, so we'd shine the light through the woods every now and then, expecting the beam to reflect the pale-skinned, white-gowned ghost lady. That all sound creepy, well, a little scary, but the thought of safety in numbers keep us from chickening it back to camp. Getting close to town, we come by this lone house that appears abandoned. Similar to Pick-related but less worn down, had shut doors and intact glass windows. Friend with the flashlight decides to shine the light on the second floor balcony because he's an idiot. The beam suddenly reveals the shadow of a person on the balcony. Shouldn't have done it that big. Friend holding the flashlight is transfixed for whatever reason and keeps the beam in place. We forced that friend to shine beam away. As beam is shone away from the balcony, we see that there is no person standing there. Nanny. GIF. Friend shines light on balcony again. Shadow figure reappears. Shine light away, figure disappears. Creepy, but nothing happens. We conclude that the shadow is probably from one of the balcony fixtures and or the angle of the flashlight's beam. Continue with our trek to town. Get to town a little while later. Walk around the dimly lit town for a bit. Feels so exciting breaking curfews and roaming the empty streets that early in the morning. All the while the thought of that shadow on the balcony is eating away at my mind. We may have been a little distance away from that house, but that shadow clearly looked like a person's. While I think about this, I realize that we all have stopped trying to scare each other. Little shits are probably just as bothered by that shadow as I was. We eventually find a bakery.it is closed. I don't know what I was expecting. GIF. We decide to head back to camp empty-handed. I'm dreading to cross that house again, but I keep to myself. The crunch of dirt underfoot tells me we're now on the dirt road that leads back to camp, and that we would inevitably end up in front of that creepy old house again. Other two friends grow unusually silent. As the road seems to grow narrower, the surroundings darker, and the sounds of the night louder, we see the silhouette of the old house in the distance. Now one of these dudes with me is a 6 single quote 3 black dude, clearly the biggest is us. Dude appears just as nervous as I think I do. He suggests that we don't shine the flashlight on the house this time. There is a possibility that the house could be occupied and we could have been perceived as a bunch of pervs. We were already breaking several rules being out that late or early, and we wouldn't want to get into even more trouble. We all agree. We reached the front of house, sooner than we'd have wished. And we all instinctively look up to the balcony. There is a very obvious shadow on the second floor balcony, illogically plastered on the wall, with nothing perceivable casting or creating it. Before we could stop him, the dude holding the flashlight directs the beam to the balcony. The shadow disappears, the shadow is gone. We force him again to pull the beam away. As soon as the beam leaves the spot it was in, the shadow returns. JPG. We're all curious at this point. So when friend says he's going to shine the beam on the balcony again, we don't stop him. We lock our eyes on the shadow as he slowly directs the torch's light towards it. He inches the beam toward the immobile shadow. And like an eraser, the torchlight literally erases parts of the shadowy figure it comes into contact with. The figure, eventually, is completely erased by the yellow incandescent light. The human figure is completely gone. Maybe in an attempt to scare us, flashlight guy shuts the light off. He was probably expecting the shadow to reappear. So imagine his shock when it doesn't. In an obvious panic, flashlight bro struggles to turn the light back on. After fumbling around with the torch in the black of night, he eventually switches it on and directs the beam to the balcony. No freaking shadow. Off, on, off, on. Still no shadow. Unsure about what just happened, we stand on that dirt road. Our gaze is transfixed on that balcony where that mysterious shadow dwelt unmoving until just a few moments ago. Nothing. Someone motions that we know our way out of that place. We all second that and are about to leave when I decide to look back towards the direction of the town we just left. I don't know or remember what compelled me to do that. But I did. And there, lying flat in the middle of the dirt road was the freaking shadow, once again attached to nothing. Sadaku. I scream like a little sissy boy and book it out of there. I don't know if the others see the shadow, but the rapid crunching of dirt and the unmanly screams of two dudes tell me that the two are running as well. Black bro overtakes me like nothing and clouds the road ahead of me with dirt. Flashlight bro is at the rear and is shining his torch all over the place. I'm seeing shadowy figures all over the place from the erratic light cast by the torch and the dust cloud in front of me. A body hanging by its neck, a nope hugging the trunk of a tree, a pair of eyes hiding under the roots of an angry-looking tree. This only makes me run faster. Flashlight boy's crying. I can only imagine what the poor shit is going through back there. But Black Bro isn't slowing down, so neither do I. We all make it back to camp at different times. Black Bro makes it in time for roll call. That dude is fast. Flashlight boy and I are late. We all get punished anyway later on when we are snitched. To things off, the others back at camp drink or hot cocoa. mfw.png. Story 2, Screams at the Park. Be me, 15, freshman in high school. There's a big ass park with a huge wooden castle near my neighborhood. Pick related is the actual park. There's multiple paths and trails that go through the park and connect to nearby neighborhoods and whatnot. One of the paths is one I would take through the park and past the castle when walking to my friend's house. One weekend night, me and my friend who were chilling at my house decided to head over to his place and did stay the night there. Roughly 11 p.m. or so. Park's closed and technically no one is supposed to be there. Extremely dark out. Me and him leave me house and start making our way towards his. Get to the park and on the path to his place. As we started passing the castle, I got this sudden sense of dread and fear. Tried to just shake it off. Me and my friend then stopped dead in our tracks when we heard what sounded like a girl's voice come from the castle. Was spooked for only a sec too and just assumed it was some people drinking, smoking, fucking or whatever. That quickly changed when the inaudible female voice screamed as loud as she or whatever it was could. This scream was accompanied by more screams and other voices coming from the castle. They weren't just regular screams, they sounded almost demonic, and some of them were unnaturally deep screams, bellows. Me and my friend ran as fast as we could. We both sprinted the entire way and didn't stop until we got out of the park woods and were on his street. Got inside his house, locked the door, and headed straight into his basement. Safe to say we both did not sleep well that night. To this day still don't know what the fuck happened and have been back to that park a few times at night. Nothing happened. Story 3, John. In middle school, always see weird kid doing weird shit in my class. We'll call him John. Always been a bit of an outcast too, so I become friends with John pretty quickly. Was really into Legos, Star Wars, Halo like I was, so it was cash money. End up hanging out a few times, meet his parents. Batshit crazy Christians, as in Harry Potter is evil witchcraft Christians. After a while decide this kid is too odd to keep hanging out with. John's really sexually perverted and freaks all my normal friends out. Cut him off. Was never mean, but just stopped hanging out and talking with him. Fast forward to high school. Dude is making cardboard bionicle-esque masks and sprinting through the halls with them. Recording and uploading his adventures as he goes. Really spudgy shit, but very fun to watch while going to class. Sophomore or junior year now, John hasn't changed a bit. Due to his mannerisms, no one really wants John around. He eats in the bathrooms, and at this point is just a school weirdo. Then one day, suspense music. Friends all run up to me at lunch and on, "Did you fucking hear what John did?" Nope.pdf. John had taken his safety scissors in class and started trying to cut his lips open like Jeff the Killer. Didn't do a great job, but certainly hurt himself. Picture of it flew around the school before getting banned. Was just laughing maniacally until he was removed. Don't know where he went, likely a ward for some time. School admins later find mini manifesto and hit list. Turns out John had a big plan that involved killing quite a few students, starting with the principal. MFW, several of my friends were on that list. MFW, I see him 2 years later at college orientation. MFW, he still recognizes me. 2020 would have been his college grade year if he was on track. He was always a legitimately smart guy, so I hope he can use his degree well. Don't want anything to do with the guy that allegedly wanted some of my good friends dead, though.